listening to the Marriage Clinic podcast, a podcast on love, marriage, and personal development. Our purpose is to inspire and equip you with knowledge and skills to enable you to have lasting and fulfilling relationships. Now your host, Joshua Mulgrew.
Good evening. This is the Marriage Clinic podcast, a podcast about love, marriage, and your personal development. My name is Dr. Joshua Mulgrew, but I love it when you call me Uncle Josh. Consider me your uncle who gives you the right information about relationships and marriage and things that will help you. Once again, we are in with a new 2-part series that is really going to help you. For those who are married, it's going to be a game changer. For those who are single, hopefully you will learn some tips that are going to help you when you do get married. So please tell a friend to share this on whatever platform you are listening to it. Like it on whichever platform. And please do leave a comment. When you do leave a comment, it helps us reach more people. So hey, let's go. We majorly create content for people in Ghana and the African continent. When we do look at the statistics, most of the people who watch these videos are within the African continent, a couple in Europe, very little from Australia, and some all the way in North America. Anyway, as you will know, in Africa and for African couples, we do not marry individuals, we marry families. So this week and probably next week, I'm going to be speaking on the subject, laws for your in-laws. Laws for your in-laws. It kind of rhymes, laws for your in-laws. The first thing you need to understand about in-laws is that when you marry your partner, you don't just marry them. You marry their family. Look, I know whenever guys are dating ladies or ladies are dating guys, they look them in the eye and they say, hey, you are my ride or die. You are the one I'm with. It's just you and me. Forget about everybody. But the truth is, you marry a family. It's the coming together of two families. So once you recognize that, as you begin to think about the marriage, you need to also begin to think about how you are going to handle the family of the person you are getting married to. Now, let me just say this here. If you are dating a guy or dating a lady and you can't stand their family, his or her family members, I wouldn't advise you to get married to them. A couple of years ago, I had a friend. It was funny because I knew the lady and I knew the guy, and they dated for a while. And after a breakup, I asked the guy, I said, why didn't you marry the lady? What was the main reason? He was like, yeah, we were having issues, but to tell the truth, her mother was always up in our business. He was like, her mother is so controlling. Her mother wants to dictate. And I just couldn't imagine myself living with the mother for the rest of my life. So remember that the family you are getting into is extremely important. Now, you also need to understand that there's no perfect family out there. Your family is not perfect. Every family has that crazy auntie. Every family has that stingy uncle. Every family has that person who is always showing up and putting pressure on one another. And if you are looking for the crazy person in your family and you can't find the crazy person in your family, most likely you are the crazy one. But that's just a joke by the side. But anyway, you need to understand that there's no perfect family, and that's why I'm going to give you some laws or some principles that will help you be able to manage your in-laws. So if you're already married, there's no running away from the in-laws. If you are dating, you may want to be careful. Sorry. Now, your interactions with your in-laws is going to span a lot of things. You are going to have financial interactions with your in-laws, because in African families, we support one another. I always give this thing. if you're marrying an African man or an African woman and the person is a firstborn child, you should be certain that the person you are marrying is going to, most of the time, have to pay the school fees of his junior siblings. We don't have proper insurance systems and pension systems in this part of the world. So children are also seen as a pension package. So the parents take care of the children with the hope that the children will take care of them in their old age. So you're going to have financial interactions with your in-laws. You're also there are certain obligations you cannot run away from, such as visiting, hosting, and helping in times of crisis. Okay? You can't be married and not visit your in-laws. You have to visit your brother-in-laws, your sister-in-laws, your mother-in-law, your father-in-law. You can't be married, especially in the African context, are you listening to me, and not host. Years ago, I was counseling a couple and the lady was like, well, I need him to tell his family members that if they are coming to town, they must call first and ask if we are free. I was like, okay, we don't do call. If you have an in-law that calls before they come, you are lucky. So you should always recognize that when an in-law is coming into town, they normally will not go and live in a hotel. They are coming to sleep either in your living room or your children. If you have a small house, your children are moving into the living room and they are sleeping on the bed and they are going to eat your food for the number of days or weeks that they are around. You will have to host. You will also have to attend family events. And we are big on events. Weddings, naming ceremonies, funerals, and the like. So those are obligations you have to your in-laws. And then also, which is an interesting one, you need to understand that having in-laws is not always a burden. There's the burden of having in-laws and there's the blessing of having in-laws. They help to care for your children. In most families, and I've seen it several times where either the lady has to go back to school, or the man has to go back to school, and they relocate their children for a period to one of the in-laws to be able to go back to school. Or sometimes they are traveling somewhere and you need a place for your children to be in. Or sometimes you are sick and one of the family members has to come and live in the house to care for the family member who is sick for the period. So whenever we think of in-laws, let's not always look at it in the negative sense, like it's just a problem. No, just like life, good things come with blessings and they come with burdens. Every aspect of your life comes with a blessing and a burden. And it's about time you recognize that, yes, there's a blessing and there is a burden associated with it. All right. So, let's look at it. As you think, now I'm zeroing in on mother-in-law and father-in-law. Every time you think of your mother-in-law and your father-in-law, you need to remember this. They gave birth to a child. They changed the child's diapers. They taught the child to walk. They taught the child to talk. They fed the child for 18 to 25 years. They clothed the child. They sent the child to school. They were at all the hospital interactions. And they did all of these things for the child. And you marry their child, and after 1 year, you tell them they don't have a role to play in their child's life. You are joking. So, whenever you are interacting with your in-laws, remember that they have made major sacrifices for the person you are married to. I mean, there are some bad parents out there who did nothing but yet want to demand everything. But a lot of the time, they made major sacrifices, and you need to understand that. Additionally, you need to remember that with the siblings, there's sibling dynamics. There are ways that they have interacted as brothers and sisters and sisters and sisters over the period, and that still trickles into the marriage. So all these important interactions and important things must be at the back of your mind every time you think about your in-laws, and realize that I must manage these interactions well, because when I have a bad relationship with any of my in-laws, it affects my spouse. Because to you, it is his mother, it is your mother-in-law, but it's his mother. It's your father-in-law, but it's her father, and they have history, and they are blood ties. Anyway, we've run out of time today. Next week, I'm going to come and I'm quickly going to give you 7 things you can do to manage the relationships with your in-laws very well. We have to go to Ask Uncle Josh, so we'll be back with Ask Uncle Josh. And next week, we'll continue with all of this. Remember, this is the Marriage Clinic Podcast, a podcast about love, marriage, and your personal development. If you have not shared this yet, please, what are you waiting for? We'll be back with Ask Uncle Josh. Okay, we are here with Ask Uncle Josh. As I love to tell you, I'm your uncle who has responses for everything that you ask me. And when I don't know, I say I don't know. Basically. So today, a lady writes in and she says, is it okay as a lady to marry a man you are earning more than? It's okay. It's okay to marry a man you're earning more than. However, there are certain challenges that come along with it when you realize that you earn more. Challenge number 1, the man's ego. Most men are taught that they have to take care of their wives. They have to handle situations. So whenever a woman earns more than a man, some men's ego does not allow them. They can't tolerate it that much. And things that would have been normal if they were earning more, they then have a problem with it just because they feel the woman earns more. So for instance, if the man is earning more and the lady tells the husband, when you're going to town today, can you buy, let's say, we've run out of tomatoes. Can you buy some tomatoes when you're coming home? Yeah, he buys it. If the woman is earning more than the man and she says, when you are coming home, can you buy tomatoes? He's like, are you turning me to the houseboy now? Is it because of the chick? So you need to know the man and he needs to work through his ego issues. It doesn't matter who earns more if both of you view it as it is the two of you earning and you are bringing this money home and your money is my money is your money. So if you have a very good understanding of managing finances together, you will not have too much of a problem. But if you don't have that dynamic, you're going to have issues. And the last thing I will say is that life is so dynamic. I've seen situations where they begin the marriage and the man is earning much more than the woman. Along the line, the woman begins to earn more. And at some point, they keep swapping and turning around who is earning more. So it's not so much of a big deal. Provided he has a stable source of income, go for it. Do marry him. All right. So I'm glad it's been good coming to you today with the Marriage Clinic podcast. Hey, we're going to keep growing in this and improving in this. Please keep sharing, please liking, and we'll be back next week to finish with the laws for your in-laws. Take care. Bye-bye.